Hello and a warm welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. We are back with everything that's worth a conversation right now, and that's if only to spice up your morning. I am Shoma Ukohia.
And I am Henry Ibibiki.
All right, we head straight into our newspaper segment, but not without first inviting you to be a part of our community and have a say in what we say. We are at Enterprise TV 7 across all social media. You may subscribe, comment, like, and share. You may also log on to our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Our guest for this segment is journalist and public affairs commentator Emeka Madunago. You're welcome, Emeka.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, Henry.
It's nice having you today. And quickly, let's move on to our newspaper headlines. And we're starting off with the Daily Trust newspaper. And the big story there says bandits in military uniform abduct 20 in Abuja. And the writer there says 2 attackers captured, and that's coming from the police. And it states by pump actions or the weapons for vigilantes. And finally, on that big story, we've been taxed to fix police vehicles, and that's coming from residents in Abuja.
Moving into another story, but still on the Daily Trust newspaper, youth hit jackpot with Notcoin in crypto trading. Just a rider to that story says, token gets high-profile listing on Binance, major exchanges.
Yes, on the top story of the same newspaper, Kano government buys 2.7 billion naira vehicle for lawmakers.
Federal government reviews 14 trade subject syllabi, decries teachers shortage.
And also, international, we go. What leaders react as Iran's president buried today? Emeka, let's get into the meaty part of our discussion today. Bandits in military uniforms abduct 20 in Abuja. Yes, sure is. We've talked so much about banditry and its effects, avalanche effect that is on Nigeria and Nigerians. But this is another prism to the attack. When bandits are beginning to put on military uniforms in our city centers, how safe are Nigerians?
Well, thank you very much. You see, it's part of an ongoing conversation about how soldiers, officers and the rank and file of the Nigerian Armed Forces have now become too frequent on the streets. Look at what happened at Emab Plaza in Abuja some days ago, where somebody had a dispute, with somebody else, I think over a phone.
Yeah.
And I think somebody, one of them invited some soldiers. And in the course of the altercations, the soldiers were beaten to a coma. They were beaten to a pulp. Now, Emma Plaza, the entire Emma Plaza has been shot, invaded by soldiers and shot right in the nation's capital. The height of irresponsibility. Now, when you have all these soldiers everywhere, environmental sanitation, you see soldiers on the road. Students, secondary school students, are protesting. They will send soldiers. Election, they will send soldiers. When you now diminish your armed forces, which constitute a national treasure, a national asset, what do you expect bandits to do? Of course, they will queue. They will take a queue. They will line up and join in the desecration of your national icons, which is why bandits will have the temerity to wear, put on military uniforms and kidnap people. Why? Because, people, when they see such people in military uniform, they will think, oh, these are soldiers. But, the military high command in Nigeria must quickly step in to put an end to the abuse of military uniform, military regulation. They have to do something about it. We have heard stories of how criminals, even armed robbers, mounted roadblocks on highways, putting on military uniform, putting on police uniform, and rob people, attack people. So it is so sad that with all of the noise that the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, has made about combating banditry in the federal capital territory, yet we have another incident. What it shows is that, is a serious lack of understanding of the dimensions of terrorism. Well, the aspect called banditry, curiously called banditry. Now, with the regular bombings in the Northeast, these Boko Haram and ISWAP elements, have, no longer have a safe enclave to operate in the Northeast. So they now move through the forest, the different forests around Kaduna, Katsina, then Kogi. But the sad thing is that, look at Kogi. You have the Niger Bridge. Then when you cross, you're already heading into the FCT. Now, like a friend of mine was saying that the security forces can localize their operations, cordon off points, to make sure they block them and they can't cross the River Niger Bridge to, from one side of Kogi to the other side, or vice versa. So there's a way you can lock them in and finish them off. But when you allow these people easy movement, easy access and all of that, they can use anything. They've killed so many soldiers, stolen their weapons, stolen their uniforms, stolen their boots. So, of course, it doesn't take much for them to be able to acquire military uniforms. But there must be this continuous ground assault. Because you cannot be bombing, villages where you have large concentrations of, civilian populations. So the ground element must be vigorously pursued. Then the Air Force, when they locate those areas where these bandits bomb those places, rain bombs on those places, and then make sure you cut them off. Even though they move around with motorcycles, make sure you are able to cut them off. That way, they will disperse and then it will be easy for you to mop them up. But allowing them to move around in the forest, kidnapping people and all of that, I think by now, that ought to have been curbed in the FCT.
Okay, thank you for that, Emeka Madnago. Now, moving on, the Labour has said that no going back on May 31st ultimatum that is coming from the Labour. Now, what do you think about that? Do you think their threat would actually be listened to and the price of tariff of the
the electricity tariff? Well, the thing is this, you see, if you ask me, honestly, I'm not an advocate of subsidies. I'm sorry if it offends anybody, but I believe more in a productive subsidy system than in a welfare subsidy system. What am I talking about? The money you use to pay subsidies, if you put it into the hands of the people and make the people more productive, they will generate more money. They will generate more revenue for the nation. And you know what? It will be easy to take care of everybody. But when you now classify some people as poor, and therefore, because you classify them as being poor, then there's a certain way you treat them. It gets to a point, what you're doing is that you're stigmatizing them. Just like these bands, we have in the electricity sector, band A, band B, band C, band D, and band E. All of those things amount to segregation and discrimination. And the Constitution says you shall not discriminate against any citizen of Nigeria on any condition. So, now that Labour is talking about reverting to the old electricity tariffs, I think there should be a meeting point. Government has said the other tariffs are frozen. Tariffs B to E are frozen. While it's only in tariff A, band A, that the tariff has been increased. So there should be a middle ground. There should be a middle ground such that I think those tariffs should be scrapped. Let everybody have power, but graded according to hours of usage. If you make power available, let people pay for how many hours they want to use. You don't come and impose on an area and say, okay, you are band A, you must necessarily use 20 hours of light every day. Then there's also the issue of energy theft, which is where I also fault Labour. Energy theft is rampant. There are a lot of areas in Nigeria where people don't want to pay for power supply. They don't want to pay for light. And so when they steal these things, they believe it's their, when they do this, they believe it's their right. You won't be surprised in highbrow areas. Big men also indulge in energy theft. So that's why I talked about the middle ground. You must look at the issues holistically to make sure that in calling for lower electricity tariffs, you are not in a sense aiding criminals.
Okay.
Right, so let's move on.
Let's move into the next paper. And the next on our desk is the Vanguard newspaper. And the big story here, this is coming from the POS subscribers. Anger, frustration over high cost of cash withdrawal. And we have about 3 writers to that story. As operators gradually take over banks' ATM function, a customer relates sad experience in states. And lastly, banks sell cash to us. That is coming from a Delta POS operator. Details are on page 5.
Very true. And let's move on to the top stream of the same newspaper, where we have it that de-escalate tension in Rivers. Jonathan appeals to Wike and Fubara.
Moving on, federal government partners financial bodies to lift 50 million Nigerians out of poverty from now till 2017.
Very true. And still on the top stream of the same newspaper, EFCC on the fire as Oba of Benin alleges bribery and cover-up.
ICANN Accountability Index will exchange or will enhance management of public funds. That is coming from Oposa. Details are on page 20.
Very true. So let's move on to our analysis for today.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at this big story, the anger and frustration over high cost of withdrawals. Mr. Meka, do you think this person, now let's use this particular statement of this Delta POS operator who says banks sell cash to us. Are the banks supposed to sell cash? Because in the Constitution of Nigeria, it is wrong for someone to buy cash.
If you don't have a license.
Yes, if you don't have a license.
You know, when you go to the bank to withdraw money, you pay a charge. The banks will charge you something for doing that. So in a sense, they are selling cash to you. You know, the essence of banking actually is as basic as, you know, computing figures, putting figures together on the computer and converting those figures to money. That's the basic explanation of what banking is. So selling cash to them, I think the banks need to do more of, you know, serious banking and lesser of retail banking, because the POS operators have, you know, seriously taking over the retail banking space. And I'll tell you, there are some who open accounts. Some can open accounts, help you adjust BVN, and they do some of the things that banks do.
Sure.
So why should banks still be dragging the space with them? You can go to a POS and withdraw 100,000, but go to the bank. How many banks will you get 100,000 from? How many banks? So the central bank is so occupied with battling to handle this exchange rate that is not looking at the issues, the more germane issues, one of which is that of this retail banking. So I think banking has got to the level where, you know, we need to now, if you're saying, okay, that the POS operators should register as companies, you know, okay, fine, good and fine. When they register, then make their business more profitable. Let it go beyond just paying, you know, paying 200 naira or 100 naira to get 5,000 naira. Let it go beyond that. Let there be defined rules for POS. Let it not be that this idea of registration is to, you know, as in register is to kill the POS, because that is what Nigerian governments do. Nigerian government officials, that's what they do. They see a thriving business, they just wake up because they lack, many of them lack this intellectual, you know, that depth to be able to appreciate things beyond the ordinary. And then what do? They start bringing in policies and kill those businesses. Throw people out of job. Then somebody says, oh, no, we shouldn't. Like what? Look at the mess Emefiele made with crypto. You started, you know, they told you that these businesses are youth-based. They are youth-oriented. You can use it to engage you, create employment. And even the vice president, then, Yemi Osinbajo, warned him about it. but carried away with power. Yeah, it's, of course, he's going through trial now so that he can understand that there's a limit to which you can use the powers of your office. Now, which is what I'm talking about. There must be a limit to how the central bank, keeps twisting policies up and down. They are going to hold the MPC meeting today, Monetary Policy Committee meeting today. And it's expected that they will increase interest rates. But they are not even talking about the other serious issues like this. How do you dispense cash? What should the POS operators be doing in the economy? Those are the main issues.
All right, so quickly let's move on to the next paper for today, which is the last paper also. And this coming from the Guardian newspaper. And the big story here says, federal government in dilemma as inflation spikes a meal budget to 540 billion naira.
Okay, moving on, but still on the Guardian. Electricity workers issued 2-week ultimatum on TCN onboarding tariff hike.
Yes, and the federal government has reached 75% of domestic borrowing target for 2024, says the DMO.
Jonathan wades into Wike Fubara field as clerk knocks Ganduje Damagom for alleged complicity.
Very good. All right, so let's take a jab on this particular Wike Fubara fracas again. Emeka, I know we can get tired of discussing River State. Yeah, because we have two top dogs who are really doing and going at themselves and all. But at this point, when the former president of Nigeria, Jonathan, is stepping into the case, did you think there would be a little bit of decorum in the house?
No.
Why would you say?
Wike will end up insulting Jonathan. Go and write it down.
Really?
Wike has a problem. He thinks the world begins and ends with Nyesom Wike. You look at his name, Nyesom. Give only me. Yes, look at the Igbo, Nyesom. So that name makes him feel that he's beyond reproach. Nyesom Wike. Look at the role. Odili, Dr. Peter Odili. Retired Justice Mary Odili, ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, Dr. Patient Jonathan, all of them played in Wike's ascendancy. Wike has insulted all of them. Remember, I called Odili, he said one man and his wife. Patient Jonathan, they demolished her house. So how do you expect such a person to be amenable to conflict resolution? So it's best just allow Fubara to put him in his place. That's what I feel. You see, anybody intervening, the president has tried. Who is higher than the president in Nigeria?
But do you really think Fubara would put him in?
Oh, he will. Fubara will put him in. He's already doing that. Fubara is already doing that. Yes, after he announced that he was going to probe his administration, Wike calmed down a bit. Look, the point is this. You see all these crises in the states. This crisis persists because of federal involvement. Federal might. If you remove federal interference in the states, a lot of these characters who are overhyped will be cleared out. Look at Benue State, for example. Look at Benue. The governor there earlier was very fast. He moved very fast and took charge, such that his godfather, Akume could not move in, to suffocate him. And look at what has happened. He has been able to keep control over the state. Unfortunately, Fubara, was just trying to be a good boy at the beginning. But Wike now provoked him into turning the other side. And what is he going to see? You will see how Fubara will cut him to size. The local government chairman, by June 16 or 17, they'll be out of power. When you remove Wike's control over local governments, the House of Assembly members have committed suicide, class suicide, by defecting. So it's a matter of time. The appeal court will affirm their removal. Wow. Supreme Court will do the same. By the time Wike's hands are up the House of Assembly, of local government, well, what does he have again? Nothing. So I think Jonathan should just should remember his own image. Yes, he can ask them, please, let us, please keep the peace. But he should not forget the fact that Wike is not a respecter of anybody.
Thank you for the amazing analysis.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's
Yes,
episode.
I did very, very well. And that's just about the size of our newspaper reviews today.
Okay, when we return, Nnamdi troubles far from over as court yet again denies his application for bail. Details in just a bit.